It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We take your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, why don't you give us a follow on there? Get all the podcasts of this show. Search for the KABC News Blitz. Well, yesterday we told you about the LA City Council getting as much press as possible with their does it really mean anything sanctuary city vote. And what do you know? The ringleader of that circus, Nithya Raman, got booked on the media the very next day. She was on KCAL to discuss the sanctuary city ordinance as well as a few other things. And the bookers and the anchors were totally drilled into who Nithya is and what Nithya is about.
Councilmember Imelda Raman is here live to talk about the effort to protect those with legal status here.
Nithya?
Councilmember Imelda Raman is here live.
She almost said Nithya Raman. They have no idea who she is.
Councilmember Imelda Raman is...
Maybe if they would do regular interviews instead of just when they have something they want to promote that they think will make them look good, the anchors at KCAL, who are only going to give you a friendly interview, would know your name.
Councilmember Imelda Raman is here live to talk about the effort to protect...
So we talked a whole lot yesterday and today during the John Phillips about the sanctuary city thing. So we're not going to discuss that again today. But while Nithya Raman was there, Nithya was asked about Nithya's efforts to get Measure A passed, which it did, which will go into effect at the beginning of the year, the doubling of the homeless sales tax, making it permanent. Let's hear what is her name again?
Councilmember Imelda Raman.
Nithya, let's hear what Nithya had to say.
Since you're here,
yes.
I think the last time you were here to talk about Measure A. It passed.
Right. We did mention...
Did she call her Nithya then?
Since you're here,
yes.
I think the last time you were here to talk about Measure A. It passed.
Right. We did mention it then, yeah.
Yes. So LA County will raise the sales tax to fund efforts to house the homeless,
yes.
homeless services. You've been a champion of this effort. Can you tell your constituents now that they will see a decrease in the homeless numbers and that small businesses will not be facing the same sorts of issues they've been seeing?
Very simple question. Okay, you got what you wanted. Can you promise that we're going to see an improvement?
What I can confirm to residents is that if we had lost the funding under Measure H, which now will be replaced by Measure A, that we would have seen a rise in it.
No. Measure A is not off to a great start. When Nithya is asked, tell us what you promise us is going to happen. And she says, well, if it didn't pass, it would have been worse. Can't prove a negative here, honey. Nithya.
What I can confirm to residents is that if we had lost the funding under Measure H, which now will be replaced by Measure A, that we would have seen a rise in it. And what I hope to see is a decrease.
A hope. So even though you have said that this is something we have to vote on, we need it, there's going to be accountability, you have nothing but hopes and dreams that it's actually going to improve the problem?
And what I hope to see is a decrease. Measure A offers us an opportunity to make a very sprawling system more accountable to the people, more transparent. I've talked to now...
Why did it take a ballot measure to do that? Why are you, as somebody that has sat in LA City Hall, the chair of the homeless committee, you're on LAHSA as well, you were in homeless nonprofits before this, how is this the first you're getting to any sense of accountability?
I've talked to now leaders of cities across the county, and all of them face some of the same challenges with the county's services. The county, remember...
Well, a lot of the cities figure, well, the easiest way to get rid of the homeless problem is to dump them in LA. And you know what? No fault on them.
County, remember, provides mental health services, substance abuse services.
Well, kind of. LA County is supposed to provide substance abuse services, but the LA County Director of Public Health...
Next slide.
She has decided that we're going to go into harm reduction, which means instead of using county tax funds to get people off of drugs, we're giving them free needles.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
It's hard for us to know when the county is providing those services, where they are, and how we can engage with them to get as many people off the streets as possible. Measure A has accountability written into it.
That is everybody's favorite word.
Measure A has accountability written into it. And so now what we're doing is partnering with the county through an official forum where we're actually going to get the data we need in order to move us forward towards a more transparent system. We will be able to track where our dollars are going, how they're being spent to address the person on your street corner, and hopefully to get that person indoors as quickly as possible. And I'm looking forward to doing that. In fact, I'm leading that work and pushing for the data that we need to hold the system accountable.
That's right. It's all about accountability with Measure A. And in fact, there are going to be advisory boards that are going to look at how successful some of the programs that we're spending money are on. And if those programs are not successful, we would, in theory, redirect the money to other programs that are successful. And we would stop wasting as much money as we have been wasting. And we would actually be able to track the dollars as to where they're spent. But there's a little problem with this, because that sounds great on paper. Who's going to be on this advisory board? Well, as I was eating my lunch this afternoon, I happened to tune in to the LA City Council Housing and Homelessness Committee hearing. That's right. This is what I do on my breaks. It's either listen to LA City Council committee hearings or listen to my Melrose Place rewatch podcast. I'm not sure at this point which one is more embarrassing to admit to.
The neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids don't like it.
But Imelda Padilla had a bone to pick with the LASA organization that was presenting in front of the LA City Council, because this advisory board for Measure A is going to be made up of the people who are profiting off of Measure A. And there's an inherent bias in that they're not necessarily going to want to redirect money to programs that don't work if it's their programs. And the person to point this out was my girl, Imelda.
Mr. President, today's Tuesday.
Oh, no, we don't need to hear that.
Street pavements that are cooler.
Not Nithya, Imelda. So let's hear what they had to say, because it got a little testy about an hour ago in LA City Hall.
My office, on a bi-monthly basis, brings all of my service providers to the table, and we talk about lessons learned, what can we do to improve.
And I got to say, as someone who lives in her district, I have seen minimal but noticeable improvements. Victory Boulevard along the top side of Balboa Park, not nearly as many encampments as there used to be. There used to be some super encampments where it was like it had a second story. And if you go on Haskell in between Victory and Van Owen, that used to be nothing but RVs. Now it's like 2 or 3 RVs. So Imelda Padilla, while she says things very funny,
Broken windy theory.
she is one of the best members on the city council. And that is a low bar, but I'll take it where I can get it.
And every single service provider is playing ball with us. They are now giving us daily reports on how many people they spoke to, how many water bottles they passed out, how many care kits.
Oh, yeah. If you ever wonder why they always use the term services as this catch-all for all the things we spend money on homelessness for, well, services can count as I gave you a water bottle.
But the one organization that does not want to tell us what they do on a daily basis, you chose their executive director to be on here.
Oh, boy. And by the way, she's directing this at Nithya. Nithya is putting the crooked service providers in charge of the advisory boards for Measure A. Nithya thinks that they'll hold themselves accountable, but it's Imelda, not Nithya, who's holding them accountable. I'm sorry, I can only call her Nithya now. That is her name. K-Cal, you did it.
Councilmember Nithya Raman is here live to talk.
I love it.
Let's say that this organization, based on their observation, starts to house formerly incarcerated members, and they realize through their own best practices that they would do best if these people all had pets. And then they start advocating for building housing related to incorporating pets. As a hypothetical, they're gonna advocate for that and push that. So this is me just reiterating that I don't think service providers should have been on this.
She is 100% right. What's the point of having an advisory board or someone that's supposed to hold the incredibly complex, confusing homelessness system in Los Angeles accountable if it's the very people that are profiting off of it? They're the ones who are supposed to hold themselves accountable. That does not make any sense. Come on, Nithya. You're not getting one past my girl, Imelda Padilla.
Because there will be a level of bias, and they're already showing bias within my small informal group in their rejection to give us their dailies. They hide behind the county council. They're trying to hide not wanting to share information because of HIPAA protections. We're not asking for names. We're just asking for numbers.
She just wants to know if the things that her tax dollars, the ones that she's responsible for, are being used wisely. And she's getting stonewalled by the county service providers that Nithya wants to elevate.
So I really do think you guys need to really reconsider whether housing providers that monopolize some of the dollars should be on here, whether it's advisory or not.
Yeah, this throws a giant hole in this whole accountability wall that Nithya was trying to prop up. There will be no accountability if the people on the advisory board are the ones who were supposed to be holding accountable because they've wasted billions of dollars with very minimal results.
Thank you, Councilmember. We have two other items to discuss today, and I know some people have to...
Oh, no, why would you want to respond to this directly? We should move this along. Sure, you just accused me of being corrupt, but we got to get to other meetings. I got to go back on KCAL so they can mispronounce my name again.
So I want to make sure that we are moving through this in a somewhat timely fashion. Part of the reason I asked for these fine folks to show up here is so that we can give our input into this body. Like, I have been attending these meetings before the passage of Measure A. Now that there's actually dollars on the table, I'm not trying to hide the ball. We're trying to bring it here and make sure that the city can give their input.
Yes, but you want people to be on these boards that are hiding the money, are not telling you what the results are. You want to elevate these people.
So for me,
How can any of us trust Nithya Raman?
So for me, I see this, honestly, as an opportunity. And
I will say, I don't live in her district, but since Sherman Oaks and Encino got into her district, that district has gotten a lot worse, a lot more homelessness, a lot more crime. It really matters who is your member of the LA City Council. Encino wasn't great under Paul Koretz, but once they redistricted Nithya to take charge of that neighborhood, it got bad.
And yes, the structure, I didn't design this structure, but the structure was there. The measure has passed. Now my question is, how can I get as much as I can for our city and for the needs that we've been talking about in this committee over and over again?
But you spent the whole time on KCAL talking about how we need to hold this system accountable. Doesn't seem like that really matters to you right now.
How do I make sure?
When you're at a committee hearing that you know only I am listening to.
How do I make sure that the data questions that have so far been punted or not answered or not funded are getting answered and getting funded and getting done? Like, that we can get the answers you're seeking, Councilmember Padilla, and not that you have to go and ask for them one-on-one, but that the entire system is giving us those answers.
Yeah, but these service providers aren't being transparent now, Nithya. What makes you think they're going to be more transparent when you give them even more power to oversee even more money?
On a day-to-day basis, like, that's what we should be expecting from the funding that we're putting into it. That's the system that I want to create through my presence on that body. And this invitation to them to come and present to us was an invitation to all of you to give me your inputs to make sure that I'm doing the work of advocating for the city on those bodies and getting you what you need.
You know what? I don't think Nithya should be in charge of the homelessness committee. I think Imelda should be. Imelda seems to actually care, where are we wasting our money on this? Between her and Tracy Park, you've got at least two members that seem to give a damn.
So I just want to make that commitment known to you, that I'm here to work on our behalf and all of your behalfs to do the work that we need to get those questions answered.
There was Nithya Raman trying to explain away the fact that she wants the same service providers who have wasted a ridiculous amount of money in this county to be the ones that are supposed to hold the system accountable. And thank goodness for my girl, my down-ass kid, Imelda Padilla, for doing the impossible and trying to hold Nithya accountable.
The neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids don't like it.
800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We were just going through some of the sound of Imelda Padilla's fight with LA City Councilwoman, what's her name again?
Councilmember Nithya Raman is here live.
Nithya Raman. And that isn't the only story in the world of homelessness that's going on in Southern California. We're doing a little homelessness news roundup today, as there is some homeless news in Orange County. There is a homeless school, and it turns out all the people that are doing the real work that we need are going broke. There's a lot to talk about. But first, let's go to Carl in Culver City. Carl, hello.
Hey, how you doing there, Randy? This is Carlo from Culver City. I'm calling from the West Los Angeles VA. You're not going to believe. I heard your show yesterday. I met that guy who was there, mentioned the stand-down. They canceled the stand-down. But once a year stand-down.
How dare they?
Canceled. They did.
They canceled the event that was supposed to help out the veterans a week before Thanksgiving. How dare they?
How dare they is right. And one guy came in a wheelchair from New York in between cancer treatments, and he had his own expense. The only good news he told me was there's info at pawsofwar.org out in Long Island. They help American veterans, their service animals, and Dr. Esposito, Dr. Powell, Richmond Valley Animal Projects in New York. They help American veterans, their service animals and pets, and they need our help. This is insane what they did. And this is just a day after the Los Angeles Council said they're going to protect people who came here illegally, who never served in the military. You know, Randy, I bet not one of the council members ever served in our military. And as an American veteran, it breaks my heart. We have to stop the high suicides, homelessness, and substance abuse in American veterans. They're pushed to the edge. It has to stop.
You are totally right, my friend. I really appreciate your passion on this. I can't believe the VA canceled that event. Thanks so much for the call. Boy, the West LA VA. Is there any good stories about them lately? At least that Judge Carter, is taking them to task and making it so they cannot be leasing out land that was supposed to be for the veterans to UCLA or to the Brentwood School. Let's get on that. I want federal dollars immediately spent on housing the veterans. And you know what? The new administration taking over, you can look real good by taking the West LA VA to task and getting that done immediately. Hey, how cool is this? Have I got something great for you? A little giveaway from us here at KABC. 790 KABC welcomes Stevie Wonder to the Crypto.com Arena. That is going to be on December 14th. Tickets are on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com. They're on sale Friday at noon at AXS.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222. That's 1-888-790-5222. Gets a pair of tickets to the show to see Stevie Wonder. Tickets are furnished by Golden Voice. Good luck dialing.
We thank God for Stevie, the Wonder Man.
I had a drop of that. I forgot. I used to cut all the clips for What the Hell Did Jesse Jackson Say over on Conway's show many years ago.
That's a no-no.
And Jesse Jackson's show on the Rainbow Push Coalition would always feature Stevie Wonder music, so he was always giving shout-outs to Stevie.
We thank God for Stevie, the Wonder Man.
I saw Stevie Wonder live, 6-7 years ago at the Forum. You got to go see Stevie. Stevie is the best. And his Christmas time shows, those are pretty incredible. So call in right now and see if you can get those tickets to Stevie Wonder at the Crypt on the 14th. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. And give us a follow on Apple Podcasts by searching for the KABC News Blitz. We were going through the sound of LA City Councilwoman, what's her name?
Councilmember Nithya Raman is here live.
Nithya Raman, as she tried to gaslight Kyle into how accountable the Measure A money is going to be. And then when she got called out by Imelda Padilla for wanting to put service providers on the advisory board that are going to be profiting off that Measure A money, well, it wasn't a very good day for Nithya.
Councilmember Nithya Raman is here live.
Before we get to the rest of the homeless updates in Southern California, let's go to Shannon, listening all the way in Vegas. Shannon, hello.
Yes, hi. Both my husband and myself are veterans. We're homeless at one point, not right now. And they told us, the VA actually told us that we weren't homeless long enough. We had to be homeless about a year before they would help out. I don't know if the policies are still in effect of that, but that's exactly what they told us.
That's the kind of nonsensical, insane red tape that the VA is unfortunately infamous for, and unbelievable. How about the fact that, like, if you were injured in battle and you have a disability, well, the disability you get from Social Security means that you make too much money and you don't qualify for veterans housing. What the actual F is going on with them?
I'm not sure. It was really during the Garcetti administration. They said about 60 million. Of that 60 million, only about 2 million went to veterans. So I don't know whatever happened to the rest of the money.
Well, that's the thing. And this is such on a macro level. And with veterans money, who knows where all this money is getting wasted. But time and time again, we see that money that's not going to the actual veterans that need it. Shannon, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Listening all the way out in Vegas. So whenever we talk about homelessness in Southern California, it's almost always about Los Angeles County, because that's where the vast majority of the problem is. But there are different parts of the region that do have issues. They're not nearly as big, but there is one city in central Orange County that has kind of become the homeless epicenter of Orange County, Santa Ana. And the mayor of Santa Ana says enough is enough, and she's putting forth an ordinance that she wants their city council to pass to ban public sleeping in Santa Ana. Let's see what's going on here with NBC4.
Despite recent efforts at providing resources to those experiencing homelessness, Santa Ana officials say concerns from the public continue. Tonight, the mayor of Santa Ana is set to propose a new ordinance that would take a stronger stance on homeless encampments. NBC4's Amber Frias live outside City Hall with an update for us. Amber?
Colleen, the meeting was delayed starting just about 30 minutes ago, so the council still has to get to that proposed ordinance. But if it passes, it would ban sleeping in tents, on benches, and in cars.
I'd love to hear someone say that this is inhumane.
Santa Ana Mayor Valeria Amezcua is calling on her colleagues to take stronger action against homeless encampments with a new ordinance.
Now, is this going to count including in front of City Hall? Because that's usually where the encampments are in Santa Ana.
We don't want you defecating on our streets. We don't want you assaulting our children in our community.
Oh, wow. This is tough talk from a mayor. Okay, I'm here for this.
We don't want you defecating on our streets. We don't want you assaulting our children in our community. We don't want you injecting drugs on our bus stops. We need to clean up our city.
It's almost like, well, the elected officials in Los Angeles didn't learn anything from the recent election and the moving towards Prop 36, getting rid of Gascon, public safety, everything else that went on. It looks like the mayor of Santa Ana realized, okay, enough is enough. We need to start getting tough on this because the people have had it. LA hasn't realized that. Nithya hasn't realized that. But the mayor of Santa Ana seems to have.
The proposed ordinance bans sleeping in tents, public restrooms, on benches, or in cars. It also restricts staying at the Civic Center or at a public park between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Look, they even included in front of City Hall.
And prohibits blocking access to buildings and sidewalks.
That is one of the toughest ordinances I've heard. LA would never do this.
Mayor Amezcua says enforcement would prioritize schools, parks, and residential areas. But not everyone is on board.
Our city pretty much villainizes homeless people. So that's pretty.
Enough of that. I know that we got to get a both sides man on the street thing for this, but no. allowing them to be on the streets, that is a criminal act. That is criminal negligence. That doesn't work. That doesn't help anybody. We're not villainizing those people. Now, the ones that are on meth who are doing criminal acts, we'll villainize them. But is the problem in general the inaction to do anything about it and to allow the problem to fester? That's the problem.
Our city pretty much villainizes homeless people. So that's pretty much what they're trying to do, is get them out of the way, because they make our city look dirty when they're not fixing the problem.
According to the
Well, what if you have somebody that refuses to get help? Now, this is all going to get a lot easier, hopefully, once 36 is in effect. But right now, somebody's doing drugs on the street, you can ticket them, but you can't put them in prison or force them into treatment. I don't know what happened with Care Court, Gavin. I'm not really seeing anybody utilize it, including Orange County.
According to the latest homeless count, 871 unsheltered homeless individuals live in Santa Ana.
That's it? What is the population of Santa Ana? Let's type that into the computer real quick. Santa Ana population. Because 800 people in a city of 300,000. Wow. That's pretty darn good. LA is a city of 4 million, and we have 45,000. I feel like 800 people, you could figure that out. 45,000 is such a massive number, no one knows what to do.
Mayor Amescua says the city has 2 shelters, one city-run and one county-operated, with a combined capacity of 600 beds. But that leaves more than 200 people without shelter.
I feel like the homeless issue is so complex that it's not just this solution. That's not going to solve it. It's multiple things.
Anaheim, Newport Beach, San Clemente, and Aliso Viejo have all revamped their camping laws following the Supreme Court ruling in June that allows cities to find and arrest people for camping and sleeping outdoors.
So ever since the reversal on Grants Pass and the Boise decision with the Supreme Court, where now you don't have to consider the fact that it's cruel and unusual punishment to kick somebody out from sleeping in a public space, all the cities surrounding Santa Ana got their act together, and all the people must have moved into Santa Ana, because now even Santa Ana is saying enough is enough. And you know what you can do? You can tell every single one of those people that refuses to get the help that they need, they can either get help or they can come to L.A.
Mayor Amescua emphasized that her proposed ordinance wouldn't aim to incarcerate homeless individuals, but could cite those who refuse services.
There are organizations that we can refer them to. But if they're going to continue to be on the streets and refuse any services at all, I would hope that they would be cited for an infraction. It could be a misdemeanor. But are we going to fill the jails? No, we're not.
No. They're not going to fill the jails because we don't keep people in jail for nonviolent offenses anymore. But at least it's the step in the right direction.
We asked Mayor Amescua if the city would guarantee shelter beds for all those unsheltered individuals living on Santa Ana streets. She said beds would be available for all those people from Santa Ana. For those coming from other cities, she's urging nearby communities to step in and help. Live in Santa Ana, Amber Frias, NBC4 News.
And this is where I don't know how we get the federal government involved. Even with the Biden administration, it seems like their involvement was fairly minimal. But should the state, or let's go from a very micro level, should Santa Ana tax dollars have to go towards paying for housing for people that do not come from Santa Ana? Should it be the other city? Should the county have to chip in? When you look at how many people are homeless in Los Angeles, they're not from Los Angeles. Some of them are, obviously. A lot of them are from out of state. That's what's going on in San Francisco. So should we all have to be paying for these people that came from somewhere else? That's something we got to look at. Should there be federal dollars to figure out maybe getting these people back? San Francisco has that Homeward Bound program. Maybe we need that statewide. Go reconnect these people with their families. But there you go. Santa Ana mayor talking tough, saying we're going to start enforcing our public spaces. No more sleeping in the parks. No more sleeping in the public bathrooms. Gross. And no more sleeping out in front of City Hall. Well, we'll see if it makes a change there as we continue our homelessness roundup. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're doing a little roundup of all the latest homeless stories that are going on in Southern California. And one of the things that we have heard a lot about lately is there is such a lack of people that want to do this work. I heard in a story just the other day that people in the homelessness provider sector, the people that are helping out navigating housing and services, giving out those water bottles, they really don't like the job. And there's a 30% turnover rate year over year in this industry, which is why Santa Monica College now has a fast track. That's right. There is a new school of homelessness at Santa Monica College, where in one short year, you can get a certificate that can get you on the fast track to working for a nonprofit. Let's hear all about it from NBC4.
Many people who live right here in Southern California view the homeless crisis as one of, if not our biggest challenge. Now, Santa Monica College is trying to prepare students to be part of the solution. NBC4's Ted Chen is live for us in Santa Monica with what the new program there is aiming to do. Hi, Ted.
Hi, Robert. This program is designed to fill jobs, more than 1,000 of them available in L.A. County, with specific training to address L.A.'s most visible problem.
Do you need a year of training to help somebody get into a shelter? I guess. Maybe if you've done the training, if you wasted a year of your life doing this, you'll be less likely to quit because there's a lot less hassle in life going to work at In-N-Out Burger for $23 an hour.
And this has sort of been a dream for many of us.
Lipi Shimkata is one of the teachers of Santa Monica College's new program to teach students how to help the homeless and get people into housing. The college says the response has been enthusiastic. Some 70 people applying for 20 spots in a one-year program.
I don't know how in a county of 10 million that 70 people said, yeah, I want to go to homeless school.
That earns them a certificate degree.
And thought that it was amazing.
Not accredited.
And thought that it was amazing that something like this was being offered.
I've got one student who drives the bus, and she said she goes through Skid Row every single day and she's seeing it, and she wants to try to help. A lot of folks have either experienced homelessness themselves in the class.
I mean, if you're a bus driver, maybe you'd be better off because the bus drivers are getting stabbed and shot and spat at.
Or they have family members who have experienced it.
The goal of the program is to help fill more than 1,000 jobs, including case managers and field workers.
I don't know how we're going to be able to fill 1,000 empty positions, 20 people at a time, if the course takes a year.
Measures like HHH and H and recently Measure A have helped fund more housing and services for the homeless, but there aren't enough workers to meet the demand.
And that was part of the reasoning behind the fact that the city of Los Angeles apparently has not spent $500 million that it budgeted for to deal with homelessness this year. And the excuse that they gave was, well, we don't have enough employees to spend the money. If you like writing checks and having no accountability for where that money goes, you should contact the city of Los Angeles because they have a job for you. Although I don't know if they do, because aren't we also in a hiring freeze because city of LA is in a budget deficit?
But there aren't enough workers to meet the demand.
So they are in 4 classes. One of them includes field work, so they'll be out in the field working with different organizations out in the city on the front lines with the unhoused.
If the attrition rate for actual employees is 30%, how many kids are going to make it through the end of this year?
One of them includes field work, so they'll be out in the field working with different organizations out in the city on the front lines with the unhoused.
The Los Angeles Homeless Services Agency is funding the program and providing the students with full scholarships.
So all the money that you thought was going towards, solving homelessness, it's going towards Santa Monica College's homeless school.
On the front lines with the unhoused.
The Los Angeles Homeless Services Agency is funding the program and providing the students with full scholarships.
They want to be part of the solution, right? They come from very different...
We'll pay you to go to college if you want to do this work, because nobody wants to do it.
...places in life, but we all see what's happening on our streets.
There's so much impactful information. My husband just here to serve and give back as much as I can.
The first group of students are scheduled to graduate at the end of this school year, and the program hopes to spread to other community colleges. Reporting live from Santa Monica, Ted Chen, NBC4 News. Robert, Annabelle, back to you.
There you go, the Santa Monica College Homeless School. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. So you graduated from Santa Monica College's homeless school. You're ready to work for a nonprofit to shelter the homeless, and now you're going broke because the city of LA isn't paying you enough. For more, here's NBC4.
Some of LA's emergency shelters for the homeless say they are in danger of closing their doors. Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Robert Kovacic. Now, despite tax increases and massive spending on the homelessness crisis, these shelter operators say they're not being paid what it costs to keep their doors open.
So the people that are doing the real work of keeping the shelters open, they're going broke. All the money that goes towards services, we don't know where it goes.
Investigative reporter Eric Leonard joins us live from the newsroom right now on what is happening this week. Eric.
Hi, Colleen and Robert. Well, officials at LA City Hall have said this year, for the first time, the number of people living on the streets has begun to drop just a bit. And many of those officials have taken credit for moving more people into shelter through a variety of programs and services, which are costing taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. But the city provides few services or shelters directly. Rather, nonprofit providers do almost all of the physical work. And those providers say they're so underpaid, they may have to close 14 emergency shelters before the end of the year.
Oh, my. That's not going to work out great.
The system works because the nonprofit service providers make it work, but they're losing money with every shelter bed or with every outreach worker.
How are we in a situation where we have $500 million that are unspent to solve homelessness, and we're underpaying the people providing the shelters to the point where they're going broke?
Or with every outreach worker.
Nonprofit organizations that provide emergency shelter beds across LA have told the mayor and City Hall they cannot afford to continue operating more than a dozen locations because the city has never and still doesn't pay them enough to cover the cost.
Here's what we've learned today. We've learned two very important things. One, the homeless complex in Los Angeles is a nightmare labyrinth of incompetence. And the second thing we learned today is how to properly pronounce the name of the LA City Council person for District 4.
Councilmember Nithya Raman is here live.
Thank you all so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow for another News Blitz at 5 o'clock. We're here every single day on Talk Radio 790 KABC.